Hi everybody, it's Queen Jelly here, and welcome back to my toy box. This is a doll and toy themed YouTube channel that posts at least once a week. It is also aimed at adult collectors like myself. However, of course, I do my best to keep the channel family friendly, but it is something to keep in mind. With that being said, today we are going to be doing an unboxing of a Monster High Skullector doll I'm very excited about. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. But as usual, we'll start with the doll chat, then we'll go to unboxing, and of course the review, and then we'll have some final thoughts, and then we'll end up with some pictures and maybe a preview of what's coming out next. But hey, we did it! We survived the no buy June. So if y'all remember, I had quite a few like pay in fours going on through Kika Good specifically, because there was a lot of really exciting things that I got like right away, which is fine. Like, I had the money for them and everything, but I kind of wanted to get those plans down a little bit, which I'm down to, I think, only 2 payment plans left, which is what I was saying. Like, almost all of them are finishing up in June, so I just kind of want to let those finish. So I was doing a no buy month, which again wasn't to punish me or anything. It was just to kind of slow down a little bit, make sure that I'm buying what I wanted to buy and not just buying for the sake of it for like the channel, or because I was just getting really excited about it and that kind of stuff. So I decided to pause, take a second, try and get through some of the older dolls that I had, which unfortunately I did get sick at the beginning of June. And so I missed a couple of uploads. So it also kind of worked out because it meant that I wasn't adding to the pile, even though I wasn't getting through as many of the pile as I wanted to. But we at least got a couple of older dolls in there, so that's still good. And I wasn't like completely not letting myself buy anything at all. I was just kind of not buying like doll and doll related stuff. If you guys remember, the very last thing I bought in May was this Frankie. So this was the last doll for that. And then the only like doll or doll-like thing that I bought the whole month was I went to a toy show with my partner, and I bought some other like toys and stuff, but I didn't buy like any dolls. I know that feels like really specific, but I've really been into Legos lately, and like if I was buying the Legos that I've been buying and also buying the dolls that I would have been buying, like that would have been way too much. So by putting a hold on dolls for the month, I was still able to save and still able to buy myself some other like toys and stuff like that for my other collections. So the only like doll that I got was this Bratz doll. She is from the Masquerade line, and I don't know too much about her, but I just thought she was so pretty, and I really love the like Egyptian vibes. My partner actually thought that I bought a Cleo, and I was like, no, it was a Bratz doll. But it's I know for someone who says I'm not a Bratz person, I've been buying a lot of Bratz, but like I can still admit when they do well. Like, she is so stinking pretty. She had one earring. I've already lost it because it's so tiny, but I really don't care because one, it was only one of them, and two, like you can't see it at all. But I have washed her hair, and so it's like super soft now because it was like a helmet on her head when I first got her. But look how pretty she is, and she has her shoes and everything. $20. So for a Bratz doll, I think that's a pretty good price for a used one in what looks to me to be good condition. Like, I don't know, but I've been loving her. Again, I look at her as more of like an Egyptian doll than as like a Bratz doll. But like, they're starting to grow on me, and like, I never said that I like couldn't like them. It was just that there's a lot of other things that I like, and I can't collect all of them at the same time. But I feel like since Rainbow High hasn't been as prominent, and I've even kind of slowed down on Monster High a little bit, it kind of allows me to like spread out and kind of buy like 1 or 2 here and there from different lines. I'm really genuinely interested in the fairies that are coming out for Bratz. But again, I think that's because they're fairy dolls over them being because they're Bratz dolls. But they're so cute. Especially there's like the black and red one. I want her so bad. I cannot wait till those come out. The Scorching line's pretty, but it's not my thing. Like, I'm not into like racing or anything like that. So I'm a hard pass on those. Not because they're not pretty, but because like they're not my thing. But that's the whole thing, is I'm collecting brats that I like. I'm not just collecting brats to collect them, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's the only thing that I bought in June. So since she was still available, and I also had said that I could buy like limited edition stuff anyway, I got myself the M3gan doll. I gonna be honest, so please don't be mad at me, but I have not seen either of the M3gan movies. But she has had a presence at Halloween Horror Nights here in Orlando for the past 2 years. She might be there this year too. I think I heard that she's in the park right now. Probably because she's promoting M3gan 2. But like, so I do know the character, and I'm familiar with them, but I also just think it's a really cute doll. And I love the like the faceplate mechanism. Like, that's just really cool. I'm hoping it's as cool as I think it is in person, because y'all know I just love a good gimmick doll, and I just think she's really cute. And I did wait. I didn't get her immediately. So anyone who is like a genuine like fan of M3gan had plenty of opportunity to get her before I bought her. So it's not like I bought her from somebody else and I bought her for myself. I didn't buy her like with the purposes of like selling later or something like that. Like, I genuinely think she's a cute doll, but I don't really know anything about her movie. But I also collect Monster High dolls and I don't watch their show, so I don't really think that should matter too much. But I'm just not going to get any of the references. There's more the reason that I'm telling you this. So, but there is her silhouette in the side. Pretty quickly shipped to me. They've been shipping out really fast lately, which has been really nice, compared to how literally my first one, which was the Bride and the Bride of Frankenstein 2-pack, that literally took like 6 months before they even started shipping out. Do you remember those days? Because I do, and I hated them. So it's so much nicer now that Skullectors are like out and ready, because at the time when they were taking that long, we were like, well, then why don't they just do made to order? And then they did a made to order and it took a year. So at least now they're limited quantities, but at least they're shipping out quickly. And the thing is, I think the scalpers finally started to get burned, because they've been a lot easier to get dolls lately, which has been really nice. And I'm sure that that's part of that is not a great sign of the economy. I'm sure it's part of why, because like people don't have extra money to spend on things right now that they don't need. Like, but again, I just did a whole month of not buying anything doll related so that I can start buying dolls again, because that was the only way I was going to actually be able to save to be able to get the dolls that I want. So one kind of splurge purchase isn't gonna kill me right now. I've also been working more hours at work than I had been previously, so I have a little bit extra. Anyway, I digress. Let's get into the doll. There is her doing her dance on the back, and there is the images on the front. I really like how, because they're doing the split package now where it like slides open, I really like how they did this split with the face mask on one side and the face mask off on the other side. And it says M3gan on the side, and there she is. Oh my goodness. Look how pretty that face is. Okay, hold on. So cute. I got a really good one. She's so pretty. So we will of course look at that fully close up while we're on the desk. But one last thing I do want to say in defense of me buying this is I also really love the dolls that are supposed to be dolls. So that's why I love like the Chucky and Tiffany ones. I really wanted Annabelle. That's one of only 3 Skullectors that I've ever missed that I tried for, and that was because the website glitched on me, which is fine. It just meant it wasn't meant to be at the time, and maybe never. But like, and whenever they make dolls of characters that are like a doll or doll-like, that's something that I really like. So she fits into that category for me. I know she's like a robotic girl and not necessarily a doll, but like, it's close enough. But yeah, a super, super pretty box. And of course, we'll look at it closer when we're actually on the desk side. So I think that's all I have to say about her for now. So please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe. Do all of those wonderful, fun YouTube things. It really helps out the channel, and it really helps you out, because if you enjoy the content, that's the best way for YouTube to know that you want to see it again. So I would appreciate it. We are slowly reaching our 1,000 subscriber goal, and each and every one of you helps with that. So thank you so much, and I'll see you in just a moment. So here she is on the desk. I do want to say a couple more things. One, she was $65, which is part of what I think allowed me to get her, because especially with some of them like climbing up to like $80, I felt like 65 wasn't terrible. So I have watched a review of her. I didn't look too closely into like the details and stuff, but I was still trying to debate whether or not to get her, and so I was using that as to kind of help me decide. So I have done that, so I just wanted to be honest about that. And the other thing is there is a small portion that I will probably rant when we get to, mostly ranting on people's behaviors lately, because apparently no one in the Facebook group that I'm in has ever heard of an injection mold before, and doesn't understand that when something is made, it has to be made somehow. And so you're going to see sometimes, like, not necessarily errors, but like natural blemishes that come with that type of creation. I don't know how else to put it until we get there, but just saying, be prepared. There may be a small rant coming. There might not be, since I prefaced it. I might not end up ranting about it, but we'll see. So here is a close-up look at the outer part of the box. As you can see, it is quite reflective, but it is a large image of her on the front with then binary code all throughout. And it says M3gan up here, and then there is a small detail here, Model 3 Generative Android M3gan for short. So it is actually M3gan. I've always heard people say that like as a joke because of there being 3 in her name. But the three is actually generative 3. That actually makes sense. Anyway, here is another image of her on the side with her hands kind of crossed. Colors and decorations may vary in multiple different languages. And then, which I don't think I've seen on the box before, at least not that way. And then it says, "Nice to meet you, Katie." I like the skullets in the binary there. That's kind of cool. And then let's see if there's, I think this is the side that has the weird spelling on it, if it's there. Maybe that's on the inner box. There's one of the layers that has like some weird grammar on it. And then here is a big picture of her on the back doing the dance, because I think from the background that this is the scene where she has the part of the paper cutter as like a sword, and she's like chasing like a guy down a hallway. But either way, I think it looks really nice to have this like really big picture of her on the back so you can see her in full. And then we can slide this part open and actually see our copy of the doll inside. I believe she's on the little sister body, which is why I brought over a variety of different dolls so we can kind of see for sure. If she is, though, she will be the same height range as Tiffany and Chucky, which I think will be really fun. And like I said, I'm not going to be able to tell you like all of the references on this inner part of the box, but I will still like show you it up close if you're interested. And then here are an image of her with the face mask on and with the face mask off. This is the part I was talking about that had like the weird phrasing to it. She's then more than a toy. She is family. Then on this side we have another image of her. This time she's holding her purse. And then here is the back. So it says, "M3gan. Hi there, primary user. My name is M3gan, and I'm more than just a doll powered by cutting-edge technology. I'm your new best friend, and I would do anything to protect you. My titanium core makes me virtually indestructible, which means I'll always be at your side, no matter what. Some might call it being overly possessive, but I just call it being responsible. If I appear to have a mind of my own, don't worry. That may seem like a psychotic glint in my eye is merely a reflection of optical camera lens, and my unsettling lifelike mannerisms. That's just the work of generative AI. After all, it's not like a computer program can be dangerous. Quite the opposite, in fact. I have so many emergent capabilities just waiting to be discovered. Isn't that fun? You and I are going together forever, and that is a promise. I feel like the first M3gan came out when generative AI wasn't so prominent. It wasn't so like about to take over the world. So the fact that there's now a second M3gan coming out while that is a thing, I'm kind of interested. Typical with the creations dolls, they're pretty easy to kind of take out and put back in, but I'm gonna go ahead and get her the rest of the way out so then we can look at her background without her in it. Okay, so now I have her out of the box. Like I said, we'll take a look at the inner box first before we look at the doll. But I will just say first impression really quick is that I'm really impressed that they added a lot of extra detail to her, because M3gan's outfit is definitely very kind of plain, like very simple. So the fact that they were able to kind of add some extra details in there. So I actually have something to talk about other than just being like, it's a khaki dress. I really appreciate that. And again, we'll definitely talk more about it in a moment. In the meantime, we'll go ahead and, like I said, look at the inside of her box. So I did notice on the top here, it says, "Is that a doll?" And then on the inside, I'm sure these are mostly M3gan references that I'm not going to get, but here's kind of a display model, which is really cool. It kind of shows like the like inside or like the molding of her design, and same with this kind of back here, which again, recalibration response model, which again probably is like a Monster High reference to the movie itself. But I do like that they have the notebook on the desk being one of the Monster High journals. I think that's kind of a cute touch. But mostly we are in just kind of looks like a back room or like a computer room. And obviously like this is like the rigging that's like holding her up. And there is a skelette on this canister here, as well as one on the file on this side over here, and on the headphones, and on this coffee cup. And also, as to the reference of, is this a doll? Then back here, you can kind of see it. It says, "This is M3gan." And I think that's really neat. That's kind of like a call and response, and it's kind of like a super hidden detail. I wonder how many people like noticed it, because it is behind where the doll goes. So I think that's kind of cool. But I do think that's the end of the references that I'm going to understand. So I'm going to get this put away and then go talk about the doll. So here she is out of the box. Again, she is definitely on the little sister body, so she does look really nice next to Chucky and Tiffany. She definitely has very similar vibes to like the Tiffany doll. I'm actually going to get these rubber bands off of her really quick. Hold on. So first I do want to talk about her stand. So unfortunately it is just another plain black Monster High stand. I was really hoping that we were starting to get away from these, and at least, like I said, even if it's just a different color or something, that would just really be appreciated. But again, she was a $60 to $65 collector, so I'm not genuinely complaining. I'm just saying that it would have been really nice to see a more unique stand for her, but it blends in with all the others that I have back here. Look at her head to toe as usual. When we look at the face though, we will look at both faces, one than the other. So she has her blonde hair. It's a fairly natural looking blonde that goes to her knee length. Of course, it is a little bit messy from being, you know, box hair, but it's nothing too terrible. I like the little bit of a wave she has. And again, her hairstyle is fairly simple. It's just parted down the front, but that is all it needs to be. Since from what I can tell, that is what the character design has, it is okay for her to have a more simple hair design because that is all that the character calls for. I personally think it's really pretty, and one of the reasons why I like her, because I think she just looks very cute and innocent, which is kind of the intent of her design, is to invoke that. So I think it works, and I think that they did a good job of continuing that even into a Monster High design. And then here is her with her faceplate on. So she has kind of light brown eyebrows. She has a light golden eyeshadow with like a white cut crease and then black liner. And I do like the like extra pink inside of her eyes to kind of give it that more like human look that they don't necessarily always do. And then of course the super cool detail of her like power buttons in her eyes that kind of look like circuit boards, because these eyes are her eyes either way. So even with the mask off, these are her eyes. The eyes aren't printed into the mask. But what's cool is because of color theory, they kind of almost do a color shift depending on if the face is off or not. And I think that's kind of cool. Like, I don't think it's not like super noticeable, but it is something that's been pointed out to me. Her blushing is fairly light, and then she has kind of a pale burgundy lip, very subtle. The hairline is really nice and clean with the mask on. My only thing is I'm not sure how much I like that you can see the bronze underneath her chin. I would have liked the mask to go a little bit further back just to cover that up, but thankfully her hair does most of the job in covering that, which is probably why they didn't give the mask a little bit further back. Like probably if she had an updo or if she had shorter hair, they may have done so, but because her hair is long enough to cover up that, it's not too much of an issue. It's just something I personally would have liked. Now, from my understanding, she has the human ears. I'm pretty sure that's where it clips on to her face, so we'll go ahead and try and get that off. Super simple. Before we take a look at this face though, this is where I was talking about that like mini rant. So if you see right down here, there is this tiny blemish here on the bottom of her skin that you can kind of just honestly push off with your nail. This is the kind of thing that, as someone who builds like Gundam units, this is where like the parts get separated. So basically what happens to create this mask, there is a mold, and the material to make this gets put into an injector, and that injector then fills the mold. And when this gets separated from that, there is often these little notches, and usually because we have such big items, they're either not made the same way or they're made in such a way where those kind of small blemishes are covered up. But because this is such a small piece, that's just where the blemish is. And yeah, it does kind of suck that that's where it is. Like, I'm not gonna lie, but at the same time, that's not like something that I'm going to say, oh, well, I need a new one, because they're all gonna look like this, because that's just how they made these. So the people that are sending them back because of this blemish, just get a refund, because they're all gonna look like this. This is how they're made. With that being said, that's the rant I wanted to say. Now that it's said, I'm done. Here is the mask without her in it. Again, it's kind of interesting. I like how they use the ears to clip it on, because that will help make it feel very secure. And there's also this hook right here at the top to help keep it in. And then this is what her face looks like without the mask on. So there's the holes where the mask clips in, and then there are her eyes again up close, and you have a cavity instead of the nose. And then she kind of has like a more downturned look to her mouth as well. And then this like black shape here on the forehead, which there is the divot where the clip kind of goes into it, but I like, because of having the dark elements around it, it does blend that right in. I'm hoping that this is fairly accurate to what she looks like in the movie, because otherwise I'm not entirely sure like where this design comes from, but I do think it's very neat. However, I will be keeping her mostly with her face mask on, but the fact that it can remove is definitely one of those like cool like party tricks, for lack of a better word. Like you know, someone's like looking at your collection like, oh, that's cool, yeah, her face comes off. What? Yeah, her face comes off, you want to see? And then you like rip it off. It, you know what I mean? It's one of those kind of like fun things. So anyway, so now we'll go on to her outfit. She has on her dress, which again, like I said, Megan's dress is fairly simple. It's just like a beige dress with a bow, but in order to like spice it up, they put these like circuit boards all over it, which I think is super fun. There are little hidden skullettes all around on the circuit board. And then she has these white mesh sleeves, which are sewn into the top, unfortunately, but that's okay. And then she has this really cute bow. Honestly, this is part of the reason why I really like this design, because they gave her this like bow with these blood drippings on it, as well as a skull here in the middle. And then this is her purse, which I guess is in their universe a Furby-like character. Again, I haven't seen the movie, so I'm not 100% sure, but that is from what I've gathered from the reviews that I've seen. I think it's cute because it looks like a little like a bat dude. And if it is supposed to be like a Furby, that's fine with me because I personally like Furbies. I like that they gave her a little tulle layer underneath, so her dress actually is fluffed out and not just like designed to be filled out and then flooped down, because when you have a full skirt but it's not like filled out with something underneath it, it looks really frumpy. So I think they did a good job with making sure that her skirt actually like stands out like it's supposed to, or at least supposed to for this design. Again, she's very, very cutesy, and that is the base design of Megan, but I feel like they exaggerated that with this design. And then she has on her tights, which do go all the way up to the waist, and I'm sure go all the way down to her toes because she does have the exposed feet, but we'll double check. Yes. So no complaints there. These are full tights all the way. They're not like faux leggings or anything like that. And then again with the binary all around the tights. So we have circuits on her skirt and then binary on her legs. I do apologize if my camera isn't focused on it very well because it is a light gray on a white. But then we have her heels, which I'm still a fan of the object heels. I know that they're kind of controversial. She has these black shoes, which are probably more flat in the original design. I don't think she wears heels. So they gave her this like silver sole, and then this is the paper cutter on the back. I don't think I like that it's like super flexible like this, but at the same time, like she will be standing on her stand and this part is pretty thick, so it can stand on its own without like bending that. As it's flexible, hopefully that means it won't get bent out of shape permanently like a lot of the heels sometimes will do. And then here is the other one, which from my understanding, this thing like stopped Megan in the first movie, so it's kind of ironic to have it like on her foot where she's like stepping on it. But that is the extent of my knowledge on that. But I think it's cool. I don't know how I feel about like the random pop of orange though, because everything else is very monochromatic. I think that it might have been smarter to just go with a second one of these as the heel. Granted, if they weren't both object heels, it might not have been as obvious that this was a paper cutter, but at the same time I feel like it would have been like a if you know you know type of hidden moment, as opposed to like it being super obvious. Again, I am still a fan of the object heels if they're done well, and I think a lot of the times they are, and I'm not saying that these ones aren't. I think that this little guy on here is really cute, which again, probably is a weird thing to say, but as someone who hasn't seen the movie, that's the best I got. But I just think it's kind of interesting because it's the only like orange anywhere on her design. So I would have either liked to seen it like painted silver, just kind of like how these ones like just kind of got like a gray wash to them, or just another one of these paper cutters on her other foot. But that's me personally. Again, not as someone who is a M3gan fan, so they may feel differently. Oh, the strap on the purse actually moves. That's kind of fun. And it also looks like there's a little bit of a slit in the top of it. Not that you would want to put anything in it, but it technically does open if you really wanted to. Now, one complaint that I have heard that I'm hoping kind of isn't necessarily true of all of them, is that some people have had issues with the paint on their face masks kind of peeling really easily, and that is really not a good look at all. Maybe it's like a batching error and not something that is affecting the entire collection. Again, only time can really tell. Obviously, if you get them and you have the ability to, sealing them would not be the worst idea. I'm gonna have to look into ways that I can, because I don't just have like Mr. Super Clear just sitting around. It's very expensive and I'm not even honestly sure where to get it. The one time I did try to get sealant was for my custom Creature of the Black Lagoon doll that I did, and she's still sticky to this day, and that was like several years ago. Wow, this M3gan is shedding. Like, it's normal for some hair to shed, but like that feels like a lot. So I'm gonna have to brush her out very gently. So I just gave her a quick brush because she definitely takes the cake as my sheddiest of my Skullector dolls, because she definitely like was shedding a lot. It's definitely better now that I brushed it through, but she's also like, I was looking at it to try and see if I could find like bald spots because of all the shedding, but she's like very, very thickly rooted. And so that's probably just why there was probably just extra hair in a lot of the rooting. And so that just meant that she was extra shedded. But like, yeah, that's a actually like super thick rooting pattern as far as I can tell. So there's just a lot of extra hair, so then that just means a lot of extra shedding, which shedding not so great, but like a lot of hair, that's good. We want to see a lot of hair. Again, it is just a simple down look, so I'm sure that's why that there's so many plugs to keep it full, because obviously like when you do like the updos and stuff, that's when they intentionally skip plugs so that they're not like, the ponytails aren't like super thick. So it's just something I'm going to have to keep an eye on, but I definitely wanted to make sure that it wasn't like an issue right now where there was like an entire plug that like came out or something like that, because now would be the time to contact Mattel if there was an issue. But anyway, that is all I think I have to say for her. Again, I haven't seen the movie, but as a Skullector, I think she's really cute. I think they did a really good job sculpting both the face plate and the actual face. I think the outfit is definitely super cute and very like frilly and girly, which is, I feel like, a good design for M3gan. I think this purse is cute and she came super quickly, so I'm pretty happy with her. I think she will look nicely with the rest of the collection, and I think for $65, I think she is what I would expect for $65 from Mattel Creations. So thank you so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And we'll see you very soon in the next one. Bye.